going to record it to the computer? Or you got it?
Fantastic.
Got it.
Beautiful, beautiful. So clear that screen. And we are ready to go. So happy, healthy, beautiful day, everyone on the call. Eric and Isa Higgins here, calling out of Portugal. We're on a mission over the next 2 years to impact the lives of 100,000 people with some of the information you're going to hear today. And as our topic today is around mums, we want to wish everyone an amazing International Women's Day today. You guys are so powerful. None of us would be here without you. And, I'm the man I am today because of the amazing women that are in my life. So here's off to you guys. Really appreciate and love you all. So when it comes to pregnancy today, our topic is going to be around holistic steps for healthy moms and healthy babies. So it's such an important time in a woman's life. We've yet to experience this firsthand, but we know a lot of moms and their process of being prepared for pregnancy is such a critical step for them to live their best life, and of course to set their babies up to live their best life as well. So we're going to be joined by the most amazing clinical nutritionist, one of the best in the game, Dr. Bob Rakowski, calling out of Houston, Texas. This man is over 3 decades lecturing to doctors on natural medicine, functional medicine, not only teaching doctors, but also helping people from all different backgrounds to be their absolute best, from world-class athletes to people on the other end of the spectrum who are sent home to die because they got unfortunate news. Isa is my partner in life. She's an amazing graphic designer. I wanted to share this call today because of her input, of course, and the content, but because she is a woman, and we want to vary up the energies on the call as well, because I don't really steal in the show. So we're going to talk, first of all, Dr. Bob, around the process, the preparation of being ready for pregnancy. But can you tell us, before we kick off into that, can you tell us a little bit about what makes you most passionate and excited today?
Well, Eric, my gosh, what makes me passionate and excited is that this is such a prime time for people to get a paradigm shift, to understand that we are connected to infinite, that there's a lot of good out there. And you know what? The more we focus on the good, the more we bring into our world, and there's so much good to share. And I can't think of better people to share it with than people that are going to bring people into this world. So there's an international movement for healthy moms and healthy babies. And I want to give a big shout out to every mom, every woman out there. And I like to go with Abe Lincoln. All that I am, all that I will ever be, I owe to my mother. And realize we can all say that. So moms are the most special people ever. And why don't we go the extra mile and help them have healthy babies with a great life?
I love that. It's true. Absolutely, it is. I was only singing my mum's praises this morning on a Clubhouse call about how she encouraged me when I first started doing athletics. Just that support is such an important thing. And we're talking about love, we're talking about support, and we're talking about information. And the main point is, you don't know what you don't know. And in some cases, what you don't know can really harm you. In some cases, kill you. So, first of all, I'm just curious. I'm not a woman, nor have I experienced pregnancy directly, but I'm curious, could you fill in the listeners, Dr. Baba, what are some of the main physical, emotional, chemical changes in a woman as she is preparing for pregnancy?
Well, Eric, one, you'll never be able to relate to it. I'll never be able to relate to it. And any woman that's never been pregnant can relate to it. But here's the deal. Now the new data, and I've taken courses in obstetrics, and my last one was about 6 years ago. Well, in the last 6 years, what they've come to realize through very sophisticated measurements is that in a single pregnancy cycle, the woman will create more hormones in her body in that 9-month period than she will in her non-pregnant entire lifetime. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment. And so we guys can probably relate to that. If we get a surge of testosterone, we want to do something very aggressive. That's why we play sports. And, there's a time and, where all we can think about is, the person that we're attracted to. And those hormones really hijack our physiology. Well, imagine if we had to have, more in a 9-month period than we'd have in the other 90 years of our life. I don't think we could handle it. So the right gender is having the babies, and God bless them. And it's not without challenge, though. You know, if a woman's in great shape, great health, can process her hormones, it can be a smooth, beautiful experience. But if she's out of balance, let's just say that a lot of things are going to go haywire in those circumstances.
And when it comes to a woman to prepare her for a safe and healthy pregnancy, what are some of the most important steps that we must take?
Well, I'm gonna share a graphic because there's an international movement for healthy moms and healthy babies. And you know, I've said this in my entire practice, and my mentor said the same thing. There's only one category of human that should have children, and those are healthy people with healthy habits, because you give that baby the best opportunity for a phenomenal life. And now, you know, it's caught on where the whole globe is saying, hey, we need to make our moms healthy. We need to get them proactive. And what I've said for years is you've got to eat right, drink right, think right, move right, sleep right, poop right, talk right every single day. And that puts you in a great position to have a healthy pregnancy, a healthy baby. But let's take the opposite of that. You know, here in the US, we have infertility clinics popping up all over the place. You know, the estimates are somewhere between 10 and 15% of women around the globe are infertile. Why? They're not healthy enough to carry kids. And now here in the US, about 1/3 of the time when the couple is having problems conceiving, it's the male. The sperm is not healthy enough to create another life. So, you know, the things we've done to the planet with especially horrific hormone-related toxins, estrogens and plastics, pesticides injected into animals, even metalloestrogens, are creating profound infertility.
Yeah, that leads me on to my next question, Dr. Bob. When it comes to male birth rate, it's actually been declining. I was listening to a podcast a couple of months ago, and it was saying that the birth of males has been dropping since as far back as the 1970s. What's going on there?
Yeah, and it might even be the 1950s in some countries. And I covered the graphic in last week's talk on andropause and menopause, but there are so many toxic estrogens in the environment. You know, one that gets a lot of press is called bisphenol A. And there's something called the Human Toxin Inventory, where they've come to realize that everybody has traces of these toxic estrogens in their system. And it's horrific on both genders, male and female physiology. But again, the term is xenoestrogen. So it's an XENO, xeno, meaning foreign estrogens, estrogens in plastics, pesticides injected into animals, metalloestrogens. And what they found very simply is it's most disrupted to the developing male. And when there are miscarriages in the first trimester, very often it's the male that will die. So a lot more babies that are born female, a lot less males. Steady decline since the 1970s, and in some countries since the 1950s.
And I think I heard about, I think it was you that were talking, Dr. Bob, about the birth control as well, like the pills, the dangers of pills for women, and all the things that happen due to the taking the pills. So what would be your recommendations as safe birth control for the women that are not ready to become a mom?
Well, first I want to provide a little education. You know, so even when I was teaching doctors, I would ask doctors, how does the birth control pill work? And the most common answer I would get back was, well, it fools the body into thinking it's pregnant. And the answer is no, it screws up the hormones so bad you couldn't get pregnant if you wanted to. And some women never recover. They call it post-birth control syndrome. And it's up to 16%. 1 in 6 women will develop permanent infertility. So they give a very powerful estrogen called ethinyl estradiol. It's 100 times stronger than human estrogen. And a woman's lifetime risk of breast cancer directly related to estrogen exposure. Other things like bad periods, menorrhagia, dysmenorrhea, endometriosis, fibrocystic breast, autoimmunity. These are all estrogen toxic circumstances. And you take someone who's already estrogen toxic, and that's well proven, and then you throw another toxic estrogen into them, you're going to cause big problems. So that's not the way to go. So what's safe? Well, a condom. And you know, those aren't the funnest in terms of intimacy, and some women have challenges with latex, but there's other options that are available. And ultimately, you know, our duty is really to protect our partners in every single way. And if a woman doesn't want to conceive, well, then protect her, whatever that means. And protect yourself at the same time, because condoms also prevent sexually transmitted diseases.
Yeah, it's something that, it's quite sensitive as well for people to talk about at times. I know there's a lot of opinions being fired around the place as well when it comes to vaccinations of all kinds, especially when it comes to newborns and mums. But I don't want to talk about opinions, Dr. Bob, because they're irrelevant in this conversation. Let's talk about some of the facts here. Well, what's some of the data behind vaccinations that you've read and studied so people can get a clear view as to what this is versus what some people might share as what they believe to be true?
Well, and I put the reference here, and anybody that wants to can look up the Children's Medical Safety Research Institute. And they've compared vaccinated versus non-vaccinated. And the simple fact is, children that are vaccinated are sicker across every single category. 240% more chronic illness, 290% more eczema, 370% more neurodevelopmental disorders, 420% more autism, 420% more attention deficit, 520% more learning disabilities, and 30x the number of allergies. That was a very well done study. And you start looking at that and saying, okay, so wait a minute, across all these measurements, these kids are sicker. Well, how are they better? And the answer is not in any way. I find this data so fascinating. And since Dr. Fauci had a press conference, I do want to share some of this because we want to get informed. So this will be Dr. Fauci. I'll unplug it, but here we go.
So Dr. Fauci is now saying that the vaccine could be, no, I'm not going to be accused of twisting anybody's words. Roll the clip.
This would not be the first time, if it happened, that a vaccine that looked good in initial safety actually made people worse. There was the history of the respiratory syncytial virus vaccine in children, which paradoxically made the children worse. One of the HIV vaccines that we tested several years ago actually made individuals more likely to get infected.
Say that first part again?
This would not be the first time, if it happened, that a vaccine that looked good in initial safety actually made people worse.
That's what I thought you said.
So, there were no safety studies on this, but, if we're going to look at what really did the vaccines do, well, I have the data from the CDC, which is absolutely powerful. And I think I'll plug my headset in again to share this. But this is so easy to find. All you need to do is look up death rate from infectious disease, 1900 to 2000. And what you'll see is around 1900, about 80% of people died from infectious disease. Then we fast forward and we go down to the early 1940s when penicillin was discovered, and it was down to about 200 per thousand. So we already had a 75% reduction in death rate from infectious disease. Then more widespread vaccines around 1950. And basically at that point, a 91% drop in death rate from infectious disease, and none since. So when did vaccines really start getting rolled out? The mid-1960s. So the death rate from infectious disease bottomed out from improved sanitation, hygiene, and nutrition, and vaccines have not increased lifespan at all. And the data is so clear on that. But when they compare the vaccinated and the unvaccinated across every measure tested, vaccinated kids are worse off. So, I'm glad people are waking up to this amazing information.
And without people like yourself, Dr. Bob, the average person wouldn't probably consider this too much because they don't have access to this information, but it's there if people know where to look.
Yeah, Eric,
so thank you.
It's not true that they don't have access. It's that it is blocked, it is censored, it is tainted. And if we want to go on this tangent a little bit, And I do want to, because you start looking and saying, okay, what in the world is going on with this? The original type of vaccine was for smallpox, and it was a procedure called variolation. And if someone had smallpox, it was very deadly. They'd find someone with smallpox, they'd find a wound on their body, they'd cut open the smallpox wound, and they would take some of the wound and they would cut with a knife into another person's arm, and they would infect them with the material from the smallpox. Now, about 98% of the time, the people would get a minor infection. 2% of the time, bad smallpox, and some of the time they would die. But they were happy about that. 90% was a good number. Then we fast forward and say, well, what are in vaccines now? And so when we start looking at the ingredients, we've got mercury, we've got aluminum, we've got formaldehyde, and then we even have aborted fetal stem cells, and they are injecting these things into kids moments after they were born. So, I'll tell a story. My kids were born in the hospital. We had 3 C-sections. And when Jacob was about to be born, the pediatrician said, well, when your son is born, we want to vaccinate him for hepatitis B. And so Kelly's sitting next to me, and for her benefit, I said, well, let me ask you a question, doctor. How does one get hepatitis B? She said, well, that's sharing of IV drug needles or anal receptive homosexual sex. I said, what makes you think my son is at risk? He's in utero. And she said, well, you don't know how he's going to grow up. And I said, we'll cross that bridge when we got there. But what do I have but 3 profoundly healthy kids, happy, healthy, thriving, making the world better. And I've already blessed us with 3 beautiful grandchildren. And so the world is waking up, and I'm happy to share indisputable facts.
So essentially what I'm getting from you, Dr. Bob, is in the modern world, nothing will replace a healthy immune system. So if you're having a new
modern world,
yeah,
we were designed to beat this. Now, if you go back, antibiotics were a great discovery, but when they improved sanitation and hygiene, it was a toxic world that created the bubonic plague in the Middle Ages. If you look that up, the streets were narrow and flowing with sewage.
Yeah.
There were rats everywhere.
Okay. So if let's say I was about to, embark on the journey of fatherhood, and I had a conversation with you, Dr. Bob, and you're saying, so my doctor just informed me we should get X, Y, and Z shots. What would you respond? What advice would you give to me as a friend to say, yeah, what would you go with?
Fire the doctor. Try to educate him first. Doctor, can you explain this to me? So what have vaccines done to increase longevity? Because here we have the graph from the CDC, and by the way, they've done absolutely nothing. What are the risks of the vaccines? Well, we're finding vaccinated versus unvaccinated are sicker across every category. And then, oh, by the way, it turns out that there is glyphosate in vaccines, and glyphosate is known to be an autism accelerator. So now you're injecting my kids for something that really isn't a problem with autism accelerators known to cause brain damage. How can you justify that, doctor? And then if we start looking at the link between vaccines and autism, and I'll find that slide, but there was a study on MMR and Tylenol. And when they gave Tylenol after MMR, this is right in the PubMed. Anybody can look that up. PubMed ID 184-45737. Tylenol given after MMR led to a 611% increase in autism. And this is not a new study. This has been known for a long time. But Eric, and maybe we go back to this pregnancy thing, but understand they passed laws in the 1980s. Our government had to protect the vaccine manufacturers because when these kids were severely damaged by vaccines, the vaccine manufacturer said, look, if we have to pay all the lawsuits out for this, we're out of business. We can't be in business. So the government passed a law that said you can't sue the vaccine manufacturer. Now you can sue the federal government, and they've paid out over $20 billion in damages for indisputably vaccine damaged kids.
Wow. Yeah, I had no idea about that part there. But yes, and now like we are talking about doctors and what to do if they don't have the best advice when it comes to vaccination. But when it comes to choosing your midwife or your medical team for your delivery, what advice would you give to a mom to be?
Be very diligent. You know, you want someone with experience. So, you know, here's what I've always told people. If it's an easy delivery, nobody's needed. Mom can deliver that baby. If it's a complicated delivery, you want a pro. You know, someone that it's their life, it's their passion. They've done it many, many times. You know, 2 of my granddaughters were born at home in a tub of Kangen water with essential oils and Mozart in the background. And my daughter had her daughter in the hospital, but why? Because she had a miscarriage, and she was quite frightened. You know, and I didn't understand why she wanted to have a baby in the hospital. I think that's the worst place to have a baby. But one of my 75-year-old patients said, Bob, everything changes if you have a miscarriage. So honor her. She's got a good head on her shoulders. They'll be very diligent with that baby, but let her have that peace of mind. And I thought, well, that's brilliant advice. So, you know, whatever mom needs to be happy, to have a happy baby, happy delivery, we're awesome with that.
That sounds lovely. I could just picture that delivery, you know, how peaceful and calm with Mozart and essential oils and Kangen water. Lovely. I love it. When it comes to supplementation, Dr. Bob, for recommendation, what would be your standard protocols for a pregnant lady, and what kind of testing would you do to choose that supplementation?
Well, we need to be functional about our testing, you know. So I was listening to Bob Proctor, and he says, you know, do we have a good test to assess health? He says, how many times have you heard of someone going to a doctor, getting a clean bill of health and walking out and dropping dead, maybe in the parking lot? You know, so they're not really good at figuring that out. Malnutrition is the #1 cause of death on planet Earth. And so I like the whole pyramid, but you know, if we're going to be practical, what's really practical? Mom has to have high quality protein. In 3rd trimester, she needs 500 extra calories. Super important to our omega-3s. And I've got a study that actually shows that if a mom is on an omega-3 deficient diet, her brain can shrink by as much as 20%, 21% in a single pregnancy. And that could certainly relate to postpartum depression. But we start out with nature's foods. If God made it, it's okay. If man made it, stay away. Super clean foods are good. Superfoods, Ganoderma or reishi, super safe for pregnancy. Really good idea to have that. Functional foods, you know, there's foods that do great things for mom, a good multivitamin, multimineral, activated omega-3s, probiotics, and a combination of D3, K2 needs my attention. So I'm going to step over there for a moment and figure it out.
No worries. Actually, just on the omegas as well, guys, some of my clients have said this quite a lot. They're inquiring about getting omega-3s. You need to make sure those are IFOS tested. It's International Fish Oil Standard. Otherwise, you're potentially getting concentrated toxins in a capsule.
Yeah.
So some of the most expensive part of your investment for fish oils is the cleansing process, is the filtering process. So you want to make sure you get good quality oils, but also get them with carrier oils like sesame seed lignans to help maintain the structure in the oils. I didn't know this stuff when I was first looking at fish oils, but they can go rancid inside the capsule as well. So you really have to make sure you invest in good quality fish oils as well.
Yeah, don't get like those cheap over the counter, kind of like you go to the healthy shop and just get like whatever the cheapest option you have of fish oil. You are getting what you're paying for. And trust me, it's not good to go. Now, Dr. Bob.
Great advice on that. Rancid fish oils do more harm than good. So your health is worth investing in. You are what you eat, right? So why not put good stuff in, especially at that critical time of life?
Sure. And now that you mentioned about reishi, Dr. Bob, how beneficial and safe is reishi or Ganoderma, however you like to call it, for pregnant moms and babies?
Well, one, it should be standard of care. So I tell people, letting know that there's no drug interactions, no toxicity, thousands of medical studies, 5,000 plus years of human clinical use. And what it can help the mom do is really balance her chemistry so those extreme changes in hormones are not so problematic. There's animal studies where they would actually give the animals toxins that would cause severe birth tube defects. And these are, by the way, horrible pictures. And it was a mouse study because they wouldn't do this to humans. But they had an agent that they knew would cause horrific birth defects in nearly 80% of the cases. But if they just pre-treated them with Ganoderma or reishi, then they did not have that at anywhere near that rate. It dropped from 79% to 21% in just one pre-dose. So what if mom did it consistently all the way throughout? There's another study about a condition called preeclampsia or eclampsia, the toxicity of pregnancy. And what they would do is they would actually raise the mother's blood pressure up to something like 200 over 120. And when that happens, it's very damaging to baby's brain. But when they gave the mom Ganoderma, baby's brain was protected. And that is beyond phenomenal. And then the official statement, it's safe for pregnancy and nursing, but every legal team puts on a qualifier, says, well, check with your doctor, but certainly check with your doctor who knows, about natural medicine, knows about functional medicine, or do your own research.
I just going to point out one thing here. There's two people that said that there is an echo going on the Instagram. Guys, we are going to try to figure that out. But if you wanted to watch this call on Zoom, you're going to be able to also see Dr. Bob's image and everything. So you can either go to our stories or Dr. Bob's stories. You're going to see there the Zoom link. You can click, put the password that is Flourish, capital F, and you're going to come to the Zoom where you're going to be able to also watch and ask questions if you need as well.
Beautiful. What we know of Ganoderma or reishi, it is a medicinal mushroom. It's the world's top superfood, one of the most alkaline-rich foods on the planet. We've been sharing this with our family and friends and new friends for the last 7 years. And what we've seen is so powerful. There's particles in reishi or Ganoderma that has adaptogen properties that adjust to your body's needs, which is so special. Can you just tell or share with people why adaptogens are so powerful for mums and babies, obviously, as they're going on their journey? And would you recommend using it or increasing it as mum gets closer to her third trimester?
Yeah, so, this concept of adaptogens really is only existent in the plant kingdom. When you look at Ganoderma, it's got all the fabulous 50, all the vitamins, minerals, amino acids, proteins, carbohydrates, fat, fiber, and water in doses that make a difference to human health. But it also has 430 unique molecules that give it an amazing ability to help the body balance. When you take a drug, it does one thing, it pushes one direction in the body, and there's always bad effects when you have no flexibility. So it's the top superfood. So whatever the body has to adapt to, it adapts to it very, very, very effectively. And again, we have thousands of years. So those hormonal swings become less challenging. Issues with appetite, less challenging. Fluctuations in blood pressure, not a problem for baby. Severe toxins, much less a problem to baby. And wouldn't we all want to have that in our body all the time? And I'll go back to the original statement. Healthy moms should be the ones that are having kids. And this is proven to enhance health across so many parameters.
And this is something that I know we've seen a few comments sometimes popping in the Facebook group as well. People saying that their GP has recommended against the use of reishi Ganoderma as part of their protocol. But what is your advice when it comes to this kind of recommendation?
Yeah, fire them, or her. So, if someone says, look, I've got this, it's the top superfood, it's got 5,000 years of clinical use, there's thousands of medical studies, it's proven against 16 different types of cancer, it can block replication of the HIV virus, it protects baby from toxins, protects baby from mom's extreme spikes in blood pressure, and there's no downside to it, no toxicity, no known drug interaction. How could anybody with an ounce of common sense and sanity, the only person that would say that would be a psychopath, because you're harming an individual by saying this could be the best thing you ever put in your body. And by the way, you're going to have a baby. Don't put healthy things in your body. Go eat at McDonald's. Fire that doctor. They have zero training in nutrition. And I think this is going to be the biggest benefit of this time. People are going to say, wait a minute, what do you want to inject in my baby? Show me the data. And I wish people would have said, what do you want to inject in me now? Because no one had informed consent on this go round. No one. Horrible.
Yeah, it brings up certain emotions in me where I've had to articulate certain things to friends and family in a way that I think is not, vomiting on them or being judgmental, but at the same time, it is very frustrating when people just assume. And, it's not about the quantity of our lives, it's about the quality of our lives as well. So it just riles me up. So I tend to just ask good questions of people, see if they're open to learn about holistic health, like this subject today, and share a video like this with them, and hopefully it will land. But my final question, and we can open up to a quick Q&A as well, is when it comes to getting quality reishi Organoderma, we have the world's purest form of reishi on the planet. Why is it so important? Just a quick sideline on that for you guys. If this is your first time coming on this call, we never mentioned the delivery system. What we share as part of our health mission, as our business, as our digital franchise, is it's infused. Yeah, there we go. Cheers to you all. It's infused in the world's most consumable habits, which is coffee and tea, which makes the coffee and tea alkaline. So as a coach, it solved my number one problem, is helping clients when they're not working with me. All right, because we're creatures of habit. So when you have a great idea and the company does so well in its first 5 years, people go, oh, okay, let me duplicate that, or let me cheat the process. So why is it so important for people to invest in legitimate organo products and go to independent distribution partners or to one of our replicated websites in order to secure that you've got the real deal?
Well, let's just start out with the market. So, there's an article years ago called The Shroom Boom, and they said medicinal mushrooms around the planet, $50 billion a year. And many consider it the problem to about any challenge in the ecosystem. Then we look at US alone, $2.5 billion a year is the US Ganoderma/reishi market. So whenever there's a big market, you're going to have high-level competitors. So I don't know what you consider the high level, the Mercedes, the Bugatti, whatever that ultra vehicle is. And then you have a tricycle or a roller skate, where that's still a mode of transportation. There's plenty of companies that are making ridiculous Ganoderma. They're growing it in a plastic bag. The plant is so sick that it can't replicate, so they don't have spores in their line. And then who knows what they're putting in their product? They're grinding it up and they're putting that in. They're saying, hey, we have Ganoderma coffee. And the good news is when people do copy you, well, you've got good things, and several companies have, and that's awesome. I want the whole world drinking better coffee. But, Sachin Patel was a big fan of Four Sigmatic because he likes healthy coffee. Well, he puts Four Sigmatic coffee, another reishi coffee, on the table next to Ganoderma. And we probably had 25 people there do the side-by-side taste test, and 25 or 25 said, you know what, I'll go with the organo coffee. So we've got a patented process by which we alkalize the coffee. We've got another patented process by which we maximize the nutrient extraction. And between those two things, we have gourmet, amazing coffee, and even blood sugar-friendly coffee if we're talking latte or mocha. So, this company, really, our founder, Bernie Chua, spent his entire adult life perfecting the process. And now the whole world is benefiting.
And without mentioning names, of course, Dr. Bob, for client-patient privacy, you did have a client who decided to get this on Amazon, or get something on Amazon to save a few dollars. And that was a very, very detrimental choice. Yeah, we could share, because she gave us full disclosure on the write-up, but it's Melissa Wanger. And, she lives in a very rural area. So it was hard sometimes for delivery. So she thought, well, I'll just order on Amazon. And she happened to be nursing her baby. Her baby ended up as the top case in the pediatric ICU at the Mayo Clinic. They had the life flighter there. And she was there for 5 days. And thank God she survived. But they figured it out that they got a tainted batch of counterfeit. And so, saving a couple bucks and risking a baby, not a good idea. You can go straight to the source, and I always tell people there's three options. You can be a retail customer. Hey, we love our customers. You can be a wholesale buyer, small fee. We love our wholesale buyers. Or like us, you can get paid to consumer share the product. And this is taking off all over the globe. And, you get a few people just excited about it.
and your life can change dramatically in so many good ways.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Bob. So guys, if you have any questions about any of the topics we touched on today, please pop them in the chat. If you're on Instagram, pop them here and we'll read them as we go, but we're going to prioritize people who are on the Zoom. And of course, you can get this recording as well. Did you want to add something there, Dr. Bob?
No, not to that.
All righty. So if you guys have any questions, any of you, any more questions you wanted to touch on?
I think that's it. I think that's all the questions we had.
Absolutely. So I just see well wishes, some amusing comments in there as well from people who remain nameless, but thank you. Yes, in the future, we're looking forward to having babies. So I don't think we have any questions here on the right. So is there anything you would like to close the call with, Dr. Bob, or any words of wisdom for anything you feel relevant in this given moment?
Well, you know, I've got a mentor that refers to this time. He calls it Saint Corona, because there's going to be such a big upside from this, where people are going to be more proactive about their health, about their life, about their financial wellness. And the good news is we've got all three in one package. We're a team that cares. We're a team that is trained. We've got the knowledge. We've got the great products. And if this makes sense to you, it can also make a lot of dollars for you. Reach out to whoever invited you to the Instagram, the Zoom, the replay, and let us know if you want to get started. We do these multiple times a week, and we're committed to impacting the world in every positive way we can with indisputable facts. So I always enjoy our conversations. I'll do one when you're in bed, because, you know, tonight we're in different time zones, but the one that I do for the evening in Houston, Texas, is almost like a license renewal seminar. So I'm going to go through the PubMeds and what it shows about how autism went from 1 in 10,000 in 1970 to 1 in 30 in 2020, and all the factors that are setting that up, of which toxins are a big part of it, and how Ganoderma can be a phenomenal saving grace for so many moms and so many babies. And we'll put them both on YouTube as well. So
Fantastic.
I always enjoy our conversations.
Eric? Hi. I'm gonna just say one thing here. The call is at 6 p.m. CST, and I have also a question from Instagram. But please go ahead.
Eric, do you still want me to give the testimony on Rowan, my autistic son that I did on Saturday?
Oh, please do. Absolutely, please do. Of course.
It's not going to be heard on Instagram.
It won't be heard on Instagram, but guys, we will share the recording with you. Go right ahead, Zelma.
Okay, like I said on Saturday, my autistic son is 18 years old now. He was in mainstream, but he was too anxious. I couldn't carry on. So with COVID, and he was for 2 years, we struggled to get him into homeschool. And I was crying actually, you know, I was so worried, will he cope? And we decided to put him back this year. So I was looking for chewable necklaces to make, because we don't have shops that sell that. So I went to Ria's, it's the lady that introduced me to the organo. And I started that a week before he went to school. And I can just say it's a miracle, because he goes to school on his own without a tutor. He does his homework. He's never had a meltdown since he started drinking the hot chocolate and the mycelium. He used to bite his hands, hit his head, but now he laughs, he whistles when he's doing his homework. So I'm very excited. I decided to, after a month, to buy in as well. So I'm also now speaking to people with autistic children, and yeah, it's going well, and I'm very excited and very interested.
Amazing.
Beautiful, beautiful testimony, Zelma. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it is powerful. It's so great to see people doing better. That's the name of the game here. So thank you so much for sharing.
For the Instagram listeners, right, let's just repeat that. So Zelma has a 18-year-old autistic son who had a lot of challenges, but the week before school started giving him a hot chocolate and mycelium, and he's brand new. He's thriving in school, not harming himself in any way. That's absolutely beautiful. You're a great mom, and I look forward to great things for your son, and you're going to make a huge impact on the world. So God bless you in your efforts.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bless you too.
Awesome, Zelma.
Amazing.
I just had one other question that came through Instagram. We had a question about caffeine.
Yeah,
Yes.
like you're saying here, like oh, sorry, the name. But I have been asked about the caffeine in the coffee for pregnant women. What would you say about that, Dr. Bob?
So the data on caffeine in coffee is that for about 2% of pregnant women, there's a risk of a low birth weight baby at over 200 milligrams a day. So up to 2 cups is across the board considered safe. Beyond that, not. But so when you start looking at Ganoderma, it helps the body to process the caffeine. People don't have rises and falls. It's good for the parasympathetic nervous system. It's got so much good nutrition. But if someone is caffeine sensitive, go with a red tea, take some capsules. You can still get Ganoderma, and even a cup or a cup and a half a day ought to be fine.
I love that. And you know what? You can always increase and enhance your habit. And you know what? If you're going to drink coffee or tea, drink this one, guys. It's going to be the best investment in your health, and you know what you're getting. So perfect. Thank you so much, everyone.
I'm just going to say here, if that's something that we can do, Dr. Bob, off topic, can you advise what is best for veins? Would appreciate a call on that, on this. Yeah. For veins.
Well, I guess that's in relation to blood flow or
well, they might be talking about things like varicose veins. And so, veins return blood to the heart. They actually don't have any muscles. And so you need to use your own muscles to contract them. And, strong muscles in a toned body are the best friends of the veins. There's plenty of people that get varicose veins. The valves in the brains break down, and then the veins can be problematic. They can even be painful. Next to my clinic for about 5 years was something called the Cosmetic Vein Center of Texas, and they were really good at cleaning that up. But ultimately, the solution to the veins is eat right, drink right, think right, move right, sleep right, poop right, talk right every single day. Stay toned, stay healthy. If you need a medical procedure to take care of varicose veins, do that. But always to make healthy choices to create your best life.
Beautiful. Thank you for clarifying that. Claudio, thank you so much for your comments. It was always great to see you in supporting these calls, and all of you who attended today. Like I said, if you attended on Instagram, we can send you the recording of Zoom so you can see the visual references.
Just sending a private message to ourselves or Dr. Bob's direct message, and we can send you the link for it.
So I want to thank you for being an amazing woman and re-celebrate International Women Warriors Day, I'll call it. Might get a bit of a change on that one. Thank you so much for everyone who attended. Thank you for that dog who's cheering us on as well. And Dr. Bob, so great to have you on these calls to share wisdom, love, and passion, because people will still speak your name in decades to come for the education you've empowered people with. So thank you so much for being a great friend and partner on our mission to help that 100,000. So guys, love to you all. We will see you all on the next call. Ciao for now.
Ciao for now.